air. Securing C. Charlie secure.
Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it? Where's the hammer? Is it on the... Go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering.
What about the opposition leader?
Look at that cat. Look at that cat.
Warriors, come out to play. Warriors, come out to play.
Oh shit, here we go again.
To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death.
Y'all gotta know what I be on. I already told you the boys and I say for the flight.
Keep it fresh, yo. Keep it fresh, yo.
Okay, gentlemen. Let me get a quick sound check. Yes. You guys can unmute your mics.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. You sound good. What up to the chat? Okay. I see y'all coming in. Tito, let me hear your mic, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. You sound good. All right, gentlemen. We talk behind stage. 5 minutes each. Salute, Revelator. I see you, man. Stick around. Should be pretty good. 5 minutes each. You also get 5 minutes each rebuttal back and forth. You guys ready? Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Let's go. You guys get 5 minutes each, and you guys can salvo back and forth until each individual issue or topic is resolved. Here we go. Hold on. Let me press play on that. Where's my time? Okay. 5 minutes apiece. I'll flash the timer on the screen, so you guys, the viewers and you guys, we're 5 minutes apiece. What up, Kwame? I see you in the building. And this, when you guys are about 30, got 30 seconds left in your round, that's your warning sign. Please let me know you have landed your plane, so I don't want to interrupt anyone's train of thought or anything else like that. Please, no ad hominem, no personal attacks. A little bit of snarkiness and condescension in responses is allowable and to some degree expected. That being said, let me roll the timer back, and we've agreed backstage. Like I said, I have a few questions. If you guys get in a slump with the Iran thing, that you guys can salvo back and forth. We'll play by ear. We're trying to be here a little under 2 hours. Let me remove this from studio. That being said, Tito, opening salvo is all yours, sir.
Yes, recently during a live stream on Sunday night, like we regularly do, there was a juncture in the broadcast when my colleague BGS made the assertion, quote unquote, that Iran is going nowhere. And so given the context of what we were speaking about, it can only be construed that my colleague BGS is somehow, I wouldn't say hoping that there are many American casualties, but hoping that there is, I guess, tactical setbacks in the conflict, the growing conflict with Iran, to perhaps harm the Republicans in the midterms. Now, even though my colleague BGS claims to be politically agnostic, it is undeniable that in the past he has defended many Democratic positions, many Democratic lines of reasoning, and even individual Democratic politicians and office holders. So, in the context of his record on speaking in different matters about different Democrats, it can only be construed that it is his desire that there are significant setbacks in this conflict with Iran. Now, with people that think like this, I cannot understand why they don't see the necessity for these strikes. And for people who think like this, who do tend to come down on the Democratic side of things, I don't understand also how they can't tell that this is just a Republican administration having to clean up garbage that was left by our 39th president, Jimmy Carter. I yield the balance of my time to my colleague BGS.
Okay, well played. Give me 1 second. Let me set the time. BGS, the rebuttal is all yours. Let me restart the clock, and all yours, sir.
You know what? It's funny. It's a funny thing, man, because when a long time ago in 2016, when I told everybody Hillary Clinton would lose because of what she did in Benghazi and the DOD would not elect her, okay, a lot of Democrats got upset with me, okay. A lot of Democrats told me I was a conservative. I love Republicans and yada yada yada. I was not a liberal. I was a fascist, all kind of stuff. Okay, and then when I knew that Donald Trump would lose because of COVID, okay, which is a dumbass listening to want to reverse what Obama did, which is getting rid of the gain of function. Okay, and he reversed it, and guess what? You got COVID. Okay, everybody knows it. Okay, and I knew that he would lose. Okay. And when he did, a lot of the other people got upset with me. And then on the last term, when I told Joe that Joe Biden couldn't run, is because he was senile, and basically that Kamala Harris was not a good candidate, and she would be terrible and she would lose. Now I got other people on the Democratic side, the blue no matter who folks going at me. So to me, that seems to be a good track record for being agnostic. I don't know where people get the fact that the thing that I am a Democrat. Okay, Trump had the easiest term that he could have imagined. All he had to do was not screw it up. Okay, and he went against everybody, including his own people, because he just had one of his staffers resign in protest of Trump. So it's not, and he was a MAGA guy. The complete MAGA guys. You have a lot of MAGA people that do not like this war because Trump ran on the thing that he was not going to do this kind of crap, and he did. So saying that that I am a Democratic shill and I'm not agnostic and I go against Democrats, because trust and believe there's a whole lot of Democrats, okay, including Jasmine Crockett would tell you that I'm nowhere near a Democrat. Ask Stacey Abrams, okay, when we actually talked about what is it called, the Ice Cube effect. Shout out to Dr. Neal, okay, and blackmail political independence, which is what I vote for, okay. Black men should go by policy and not Democratic or Republican. I could care less, because they're two wings of the same freaking bird. That's the way I was trained. I was trained that way 30 years ago, and it's been that way. I stopped being part of the Democratic Party in '92 with Bill Clinton. The only Democrat I voted for since then was Obama, because he was freaking black and I wanted a black president. That was it. But I knew who Obama was. So I don't know where y'all get this from. Because if you follow me and you've been following me for 12 years and my stuff is still up there, people will tell you, including the Democratic people that left, because I had a whole bunch of Democrats, okay? Democratic people, Democratic shills that thought they were right when it came to that last election, okay, that we all knew that Kamala Harris would lose, okay? I don't even believe they were fussing until people start writing books. And everything that I said previous to that, 2 years previous to that, came about. If they could not put Trump in jail or eliminate him, which they did try, okay, he would win because it's because Joe Biden couldn't run and Kamala Harris was not qualified. I don't know where y'all get this from. And as far as this Iran strike, guess what? Half his military people, okay, you got 4 generals resign. You got Tulsi Gabbard, and he has his own vice president trying to distance himself from this, okay? Because if you don't settle this in a proper manner, guess what? The Republicans will lose. Will lose. Okay, so this clear path you had for the next 8 years, including J.D. Vance in the next election, because he's the one I picked to actually win the 2028 election, barring this kind of crap. Okay, everybody told him this was a mistake, and guess what he did? He ignored it down to the tittle. He overrode his own generals, his own public staff. Okay. And Pete Hegseth, who actually went against the first strike that they did, okay, walked people out, actually agreed with this one. So I don't know what Pete Hegseth is on. I'm sure he's a good soldier. He's following the demands of his president, his commander in chief, but all his other military staff, a lot of them resigned because they told him this was a mistake. Tulsi Gabbard is in front of council trying to backslide away from this. So I don't know what you guys are reading. All right, I'm done.
Rebuttal? Do you have a rebuttal, Tito? You gotta mute yourself.
Yeah, I always have a rebuttal. Predicting the outcome of an election doesn't mean that you really come down on one side or the other. You just prognosticating who you think is going to win. But there have been many other statements that you've made in the past, such as, go get the jab. Biden's doing a great job. That's one thing. But your repeated use of the word crap to describe the strikes against Iran. I don't understand. So how is it that, if you're abreast of politics and foreign affairs, how does anybody not see the necessity for this over the horizon? How does anybody that lives in a Western country think that it's perfectly fine to potentially have a nuclear exchange in the Middle East that will one day endanger the whole environment of the planet, people's respiratory health? How do people not see that this at some point was going to be absolutely necessary? And again, I have to reiterate, this is something that the Carter administration should have taken care of. When the 3,000 militants and students who were communist and radical Islamists took over Iran back in 1979, our troop strength was actually very high, much more high than it is now, with huge garrisons in North Korea and in Europe and Germany, because it was during the Cold War, right? The Carter administration could have went in there and eliminated these people, restored Shah Reza Pahlavi back to power, and then it would have been business as usual. And not to say that the Shah was a saint, but the Shah was firmly anti-communist, and they had an opportunity to prevent what we're seeing now, right? So how does anybody look at this and not understand that it's a pretty good certainty that Iran already has nuclear weapons? They probably just don't have a stockpile, and they don't have a reliable means to deliver them, right? When you see the knee-jerk reaction from Israel and the United States, that's the only thing that you can deduce, is that Iran already has a deliverable nuclear weapon. So how is it that you think the point of all this, to ask you, BGS, is how do you think that kicking the can for another administration, for another few election cycles, why this problem was allowed to fester was a viable option. I yield my time.
Okay, Tito, I'm sorry, BGS, are you up for rebuttal?
Okay, the thing is, I thought this was a debate and not a question and answer session. Okay, okay. The thing is, which answer does he want me to answer first? Okay, because he laid out about 10 different questions. Which answer does he want me to answer first?
And
Because
it's your
No, in my discourse, I cited things that you
give
said,
me
and I ended off with
which
one question. And I
one?
just asked the question. Can you not
Which
hear?
which one? Which one?
I'll repeat it
Reiterate
again.
it, please. Yes.
How did you think that it was a viable? How did that it's a viable option to kick the Iran can down the road for a few more years?
Okay, that's real simple. Okay, the same way that Israel called off the 12-day war because they're getting their ass whipped. Okay, that's how. Okay, the same way that because Trump thought it was the decapitation strike. I don't know how BB talked him into this bullshit. Okay, excuse me for the language. I don't know how BB talked him into this. Okay, just because the chick in Venezuela betrayed her president. Okay. And formed a soft coup with the help of the United States and Venezuela doesn't mean that it could go to Iran and do the exact same thing. You had just 8 months earlier got your ass whipped, okay? And you know that they know that you're coming back, and you know that Russia and China are going to start sending parts and missiles to these people. They're not going to run out. You're going to run out of weapons, and you're already out of basic interceptors. Okay, they already took out your antenna arrays. Okay, which Iran didn't do the first time because they didn't want number one, China had their back. Say, hey, don't hit a carrier, don't hit the United States bases because we don't want to aggravate these people. Okay, but you thought you're going to come there, sit there for 2 months. And then start a war and didn't think you're gonna get this reaction. Okay, you got 150 missiles just hit Israel today because they're out of air defenses. Okay, what did you actually think? And then you get the cut off the Strait of Hormuz, where you think they're just gonna give up in 2 weeks. It was not a good idea. The military people told him it wasn't a good idea. Okay, everybody else, why you think Europe is backsliding? Okay, they ain't start this. Everybody know this was a dumbass idea to start this freaking war unless you can get China and Russia to actually accede that they're gonna throw Iran under the bus, which they are not. Okay. Trump already tried that. Like 2 days after the war, he sent Kirshner to Russia to actually intermediate, to actually ask for Putin's help. Okay, you just had the whole GCC up there asking for Putin's help. Okay, Trump just talked to Xi asking for Xi's help to open up the strait and put a counter on Iran. Okay, everybody knew this was a mistake. Everybody knew this was a mistake. If you win this war, basically it's going to be a Vietnam. Your economy is going to go to crap because you could not afford it. You don't have the weapons. You don't have the manufacturing base. The only way you could actually win this is if China and Russia stop helping, which they're not. They've already refused. Anyhow, I'll land my plane.
Thank you, sir. Tito, you want to rebuttal or you want to move to the next topic?
No, I would love to rebut this one.
No, go ahead. No, it's all you. Go ahead.
It's always entertaining how every time there's a military conflict in which there has to be an expeditionary war, that people will always make comparisons to Vietnam. Iran is in no way like Vietnam. In Vietnam, you had basically an ethnic cohesion with the Minh people that are the ethnic majority in Vietnam, and they had solidarity, they had fighting experience. They fought the Japanese in World War II. So Iran is nothing like Vietnam. Iran is a hodgepodge of different ethnicities, different religious backgrounds and everything. These Islamists that are in Iran are actually in the minority. Even most of the people that end up being ayatollahs aren't even Persians, which is the ethnic majority in Iran. I think the last few ayatollahs were actually ethnic Azerbaijani. So this is in no way like Vietnam. Now, to answer your point about Europe backsliding and not wanting to put in any help. Actually, what President Trump was asking for was more in the way of supporting vessels, right? Like different minesweeping ships, different littoral combat ships. And the reason that he's asking this is because these countries have been basically getting off for free militarily all of these years. They white people like to say that they're the epitome of society, and yet the American taxpayer had to station an 80,000 man plus standing army in your continent to keep you from hacking each other to death, right? But these countries that brag about all of this healthcare and all of this modern infrastructure is because they don't have any military expenditures, and they had to be forced and argue with just to promise slightly to contribute 3%, right? And so the reason that Europe is backsliding is because they're hoping to this will be a hindrance that will affect the president in the midterms and maybe lead to a Democrat being back in power, so it can be business as usual, if anything, right? So I guess my question to you is, do you even think that Europe is a viable ally anyway? And do you even think that in the next foreseeable 10 years that Europe will even be the same Europe that we sat down with after World War II, given the demographic winter that they're facing and the rate of Islamization?
You landed your plane? Tito, you landed your plane?
Yeah, I yield my time. Yeah.
All right, excellent. BGS, rebuttal or response?
This is a whole lot of drift, okay? This is a whole lot of drift. Okay, no, of course Europe is not going to be the same Europe that it was after World War II. Okay, Europe has been declining for a very long time. Okay, and basically the Ukraine war and the pipeline and in the United States and Europe running out of weapons to actually enforce their hold over the world is basically gone for the most part. Okay, so of course they're not, and everybody knows it. Okay, and Europe is more concerned about what's going on in their own continent rather than starting something new down there in the Middle East. Okay, everybody knows. Everybody was telling the guy this is a bad idea. Okay, including the guy that just resigned. And one of his own staff resigned, told Trump this was a bad idea. He did it anyway. You know, my mother was just asking me. She called me, asking me about this stuff. I said, well, the problem with the Joker, and I call Trump the Joker. Okay, the Joker thinks he's smarter than everybody else. And that's his problem. Sometimes that's his power. Sometimes that's his weakness. This time it happens to be a weakness. You just had to negotiate a ceasefire. Okay, Iran just let you off the hook. With the help of Qatar and China, let them off the hook. Okay, give them a ceasefire and then see what they do. They have been waiting to fight this war for 20 years. You just brought it to them. They're not going to back down. Okay, just like Afghanistan fought that war for 20 years and we had to leave. Okay, we'll have to do the same thing here. You don't have the money. And the reason I bring up Vietnam, everybody brings up Vietnam, because they brought up Vietnam when they went down in Venezuela. That's like the Senate and the Congress was getting ready to take Trump's war powers. Ain't gonna be no boots on the ground because Venezuela is 3 times the size of Vietnam, and we don't have the money. Do not have the money to fight this war. Okay, because if this war goes on beyond a year or so, like you're gonna spend like $3 trillion just for this war, $3 trillion that you don't have. Trump just asked for a supplement of $50 billion to fight this freaking thing that should have never started. You're already in debt. That's why we bring up Vietnam, because Vietnam caused Nixon to go off the gold standard because of the debt. Vietnam cost the United States 70% of their gold. That's why we bring up Vietnam. Okay, basically, NATO should have been done in the 50s, according to Eisenhower. Eisenhower wanted to get rid of NATO and disperse NATO because he didn't think it was needed back in the 50s. So I agree with Trump. Okay, NATO should have been dispersed. But guess what? Your Congress people and your business people actually want to keep it going because it's in their economic interest to actually keep NATO there. It's two things. One, they make money, and the second thing, they keep the Europeans from fighting each other, which is the real reason NATO is there. It's not there to protect against Russians. It's to protect the Europeans from themselves, because they'll start fighting again. They got us in a bunch of wars and 2 world wars. That's why NATO is still there. But I'll land my plane there.
All right, well played. Tito, rebuttal, or you guys want to jump to the next one? I'm good with either.
I'm still wondering, like, how did he think it was going to be acceptable to keep playing kick the can with this? They have a nuke already. Okay, people might not want to admit that, but yeah, they have a nuke already, right? I'm pretty sure that after those B2 strikes from last year, that after they went over with spectrometers, they saw the purity of the uranium that they were processing, and they knew that it's capable to produce a nuclear weapon with it. And that's why you have this reaction. This was something that was absolutely necessary, if not now, then later, and probably worse, right? So I'm just wondering, how do people not see that? How do you not see it, BGS? They have a nuke already. They do. Might not have a stockpile, might not have a reliable means to deliver it, because nuclear weapons are extremely heavy. So even when you look at the nuclear arm Tomahawk missiles, you add in the nuclear component significantly reduces the range of their cruise missile because it's heavy, right? So this was something that was inevitable. This was something that was inevitable. You know, people might say, "Oh, Iran wasn't nuclear capable." Okay, if you think so, okay. And not to mention that, you know, in terms of negotiations and everything, that this is not a normal country that you're negotiating with. This is a country that's in the grip of a theocratic cult. If you familiarize yourself with the Iranian constitution, they actually list the Prophet Muhammad as the head of state. So this is not a normal country that you're dealing with. So like I said, this was inevitable. And I'll land my plane there.
Okay. He said that, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Hold on. Let me just reset. No, you're fine. You're fine. That's me.
Let's okay. The thing is, I don't know what Tito reads. Okay. I don't know where he studies. I don't know, does he actually read this stuff, or he just makes this stuff up? Okay. The Fatah 2 by itself, okay, which is a hypersonic missile, okay, can carry a 2-ton a 2-ton load, okay, which is more than enough to deliver a nuclear weapon, okay. Your Tomahawks can carry nuclear weapons, okay, and they're much smaller, okay. Basically, Iran has cruise missiles that can deliver nuclear weapons. Okay, you got to remember, a nuke is not that heavy, man. I don't know where you get that from. A nuke is not that heavy unless you want to take out a whole region. Okay, but the hypersonics. Okay, the Fatah 5 can carry up to 3 tons of material. Okay, that's more than enough to carry a nuke. I don't know where you get that from. You can put a tactical nuke, which the Tomahawks do and have. Okay, you can put that on a drone if you want to. Why do you think that Russia warned Biden about shooting Tomahawks into Russia? They said they're going to assume there's a nuclear payload on that Tomahawk. So I went to ROTC in '77, man. Air Force ROTC studying this stuff. So I've been following this stuff, man, for 40 years. Okay, so I don't know, or 50 years really. So I have no idea where you get your information from. Okay, I have no idea where you get your information from. Okay, I really don't. I'm trying to remember what the second thing is. The second question. I don't know why it's turning into a question and answer thing. Okay, if you got facts on the table, stuff like that, please present them. It's supposed to be a debate, not a question and answer thing.
Well, it is a debate. You guys are having open dialogue back and forth, refuting each other's points. This is how it would have been if I brought you up on a panel on Sunday, and that's why I said I didn't want to derail the show. It's going great, actually. Yeah, it's going great, actually. I'm listening in third person.
I have no idea what he thinks what NATO is. You know, I actually agree with Trump letting NATO go. NATO should have been gone, man, 60 years ago. Should have been gone, okay? Your Congress does not want to let NATO go. It's a treaty, okay? Your Biden and the Democrats did not want to let NATO go, okay? I agree with Trump. NATO should have been gone. NATO should have been gone. So but it's still holding on to it. It's because it benefits these people that are in Congress. So as far as NATO is concerned, NATO should have been gone. That's why people that follow me and follow my politics, okay, instead of guessing, should already know that. Because I already said that. There's things I agree with Trump. There's things I disagree with Trump. And as far as him cleaning up what Biden did, I agree with that, okay? Biden broke something that can't be fixed, and Trump and Bessent have been trying to fix it. I don't agree about their methods of trying to fix it. Okay, I don't agree that what they did in Venezuela, even though I understand why they did it. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with them taking tankers, even though I understand why they did it. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the methods. That's how come a lot of Congress sat on their hands. It's because they know what the dollar is. They know what's going on with the gold. They know what's going on with the banks. That's how come they're sitting on their hands. They're hoping that he will do something and fix it without breaking stuff. Okay, this is the point of breaking things. This is why this is a bridge too far. You just lost this freaking war a little less than a year ago. You're trying the same thing again and think it's going to work. What's the definition of insanity? Okay, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Anyway, I'll land my plane.
Okay, Tito, you want to rebuttal that? And if you guys don't have a back and forth, I actually have a question for the floor. You guys go ahead. Okay. You want to rebuttal that?
In respect to his rebuttal about the deliverability of a presumed nuclear device that the Iranians might have, I have to remind him, I mean, since he in the Air Force ROTC, that there are different types of nuclear weapons. There are, it could be a uranium bomb, a gun type bomb. It could be a plutonium where it works off an implosion, where a interlocking ring, an explosive, implodes and compresses a radioactive core, or it can be a hydrogen bomb. But the question is, to what degree have Iranian scientists, how do they know how to micronize different circuits? Are they using some analog? Are they using servo motors? It's all of the attenuating, triggering, and ranging devices along with the bomb that makes it heavy. Not so much just the bomb itself, and it's also the triggering device. The triggering device can determine how heavy it is. Now, if you have a plutonium bomb, which is most likely what people will try to use in like a deliverable tactical nuke, it will, of course, like I said again, be explosives that are around a plutonium core, and it will cause an implosion chain reaction. So the question is, how successful are the Iranians in making? We know that they can refine plutonium because they had a reactor, so that's not the question. The question is, how adept are they at making explosives light enough? Producing a bomb is not so much the difficult part as refining the plutonium, but then it becomes a matter of, like I said, all of the attenuating equipment with the bomb that determines what is going to be and how deliverable it's going to be, right? So, I mean, I think that we probably just about exhausted this, and we can move on to whatever question you had, and I yield my time.
Thank you, sir. Well done, gentlemen. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick. Let me switch. Give me a second. Let me stop the clock. You guys are doing good. We're slightly over the 30-minute mark. And no chair throwing. Fantastic. Shout out to everybody in the chat for dropping by. And I missed you. Hold on. It was Andre, wasn't it? Shout out to you, Andre, supporting the stream. He said something for the pot. Thank you, sir. Can you guys hear me? All right. Uh, I got a couple questions, but let's float this one. Um, I'm going to give it to you for. I'm going to pose the question to you first, BGS, and then you and well, I'm going to pose it to both of you. I want you both to answer, and then you both can rebut each other's answer. How would a prolonged Strait of Hormuz blockade threaten 20% of the global oil, impact Russia's energy leverage and China's economy more than the U.S.-Israel alliance? That's all you, BGS.
Okay, how would it impact
Russia? How would it impact Russia's energy leverage and China's economy more than the U.S.-Israel alliance?
You told me if Russia aligned themselves with U.S. and Israel. I don't understand the question.
Question again is, how would a prolonged Strait of Hormuz blockade, which threatens 20% of the global oil,
right?
How would that impact Russia's energy leverage and China's economy more than the U.S.-Israel alliance?
Russia's going to make more money just off the rip on what they sell. Okay, and now since the Strait of Hormuz is closed, now Europe has to buy oil and gas from Russia because it's closed, and that's not including fertilizer and the other thing. So Russia's going to make money hands over fists. So if that's the question, I'm not understanding if that's the question. So we know well, Israel and the United States has already stabbed Russia in the back more than a few times. They don't trust them. That's why they turned down Kushner's deal like a week ago. Okay, yeah, I know. Yeah, they offered them, we can sell oil to Europe, you can sell oil to us, just don't sell oil to China. Okay. Well, we'll take off all the sanctions, just don't sell oil to China and come over and join us. And Putin gave him the middle finger. So it's about loyalty. They've already stabbed you in the back. They stabbed you in the back with the Ukraine thing. Okay, so why would Putin trust them?
You land your plane?
I land my plane.
All right, well played. That's an open-ended question. I'm not on any.
I don't know. I don't. I'm hoping I answered your question.
No. It was good. It was good. Same question, Tito. I'll reread it. Hold on. Let me restart the clock. Question is, how would a prolonged Strait of Hormuz blockade which threatens 20% of the global oil, give or take, impact Russia's energy leverage and China's economy more than the U.S.-Israel alliance? You can answer that, and then you can also feel free to rebuttal BGS's response if you feel so appropriate, and go.
Well, as far as for China, I think it would damn near grind their economy to a halt. As far as Russia, of course, it would benefit them in being able to sell more of their petroleum products. And I think that it will actually lead to more foreign investment in getting at a lot of the oil that's in Siberia that they haven't got to yet. A lot of people don't know that about Russia, that it's like a Siberia sitting on top of a whole damn sea of oil. But today, I think the Iranians destroyed in Qatar a liquid natural gas facility. And that's, of course, going to drive up energy prices for people who are like kind of like off of the grid compared to what we would think of as a lot of people in less developed areas that use LNG for heating and for cooking and everything, and that will greatly affect them. And I yield the rest of my time.
Okay. Do you want to rebuttal that?
Nope. Nope.
Like I said, it's an open-ended question.
I already answered the question.
No,
Okay.
no, I liked your response as well. I got another open-ended question. This is regarding the oil, and I just want to get your take. I'll go back to you again, BGS. Does the war's oil price spike give Russia and China short-term gains via higher exports that outweigh losses from disputed in the disputed BRI corridors?
Okay. Now you got to repeat that again.
I said, does the war's oil prices price spike give Russia and China short-term gains via higher exports that outweigh the losses from the disputed oil corridors via Hormuz and the damage to Iran?
For Russia, short-term gain. China, short-term pain is because now they're going to have to scale back some of the stuff they were doing. But the thing is, they've already gained for this thing. So, if it's a war, it's a war between two sides, and they've already prepared for it. So they're willing. China. We got to remember one thing: China is not the United States. Okay, China's used to suffering. Chinese people are using the hunkering down for the long haul. So they can take a lot more pain than we can. So it's a short term. So it's a short. The thing is, will the United States expend a lot of their money, a lot of their weapons in this endeavor? Because the United States does not have a limited amount of money or weapons. Okay, they're going to run out. They've already run out of interceptors for the most part. Okay, so the thing is, which is why Trump has tried to engineer a ceasefire like 6 times already within these 3 weeks. Okay, behind the scenes, because he thought that the decapitation strike would work within 2 or 3 days. Okay, somebody would take over. It would, just like in Venezuela, it's more in alignment with what they want to do, and they go on with business as usual. That didn't happen, so now we're stuck. Just like we got stuck in Ukraine. I'll land my.
Okay, thank you. Tito, same question. I'll read it back to you. Does the war's oil price spike give Russia and China short-term gains via higher exports, and do those gains outweigh the losses being suffered in Iran in terms of their alliances and what have you?
I think again that with the benefit that it's going to have towards Russia's petroleum ministry, that it actually might be a bit of a short-term gain. Like I said, it might result in some degree of foreign investment in the infrastructure of getting the oil out. You did mention BRI corridors, the Belt and Road thing. I don't think that China is ever going to see that through. I don't think that they ever are going to see that through. A lot of these countries are eventually going to rebel against that shit. They're not going to want it in their country. You already starting to see some countries defaulting on the loans and everything. They don't want to deal with the shit. And China's ability to actually project power to try to back up, it is limited. Is limited. So yeah, BGS says that Chinese people are used to suffering. But there's a difference between the people and the government. The Chinese government is damn near ready to fall. You can actually go online sometimes and you can see Chinese people talking shit about the government, which was something that would have been unimaginable even like 10 years ago. So
that's been unimaginable in 2017, around 2015 to 17 when I was there.
Yeah. Now you see them openly talking shit about the government. That's showing you that they losing the grip on power right there. And you actually have people protesting. You have them fashion business was affected a couple of years ago when you had massive labor walkouts. So I don't think that and this brother right here said they only get 5% of their oil from Iran. Yeah, that's true, but they still get a substantial amount of liquid petroleum for them. And as I mentioned before, a lot of people that live in less developed areas rely on them for heating and cooking. So that's the bulk of the petroleum products that they need out of Iran, or out of that area at least. And I'll land my plane there.
All right, well played, Jim. I actually liked both of your answers. Let me read Andre's really quickly. Thank you, Andre, for another 5. He said, "What do y'all think?" All right, what do y'all? All right, we'll table that. What do y'all think about Nick Fuentes, Tucker Candace, and the Hodge twins switching up on Trump over the war? Which is actually a good question. Let me and we'll I'm going to give that to both of y'all in a second. Let me just ask this one more question. I actually like both of your answers on that one. Like I said, these are open-ended questions. I have my opinions about things, but I agree with pieces of both of your answers. Let me reset the clock. Give me 1 second. All right. One final question. I'm going to give it to BGS first too. Now you may not agree with the premise. You may not agree with the premise of the first part of the premise of this question, but it's in the ether. The question is, why have Russia and China shifted from Iran's diplomatic allies to technological anchors? And could U.S. strikes degrade this axis enough to reshape Middle East power? Granted, it is an open-ended question, and like I said, you may not agree with the premise of the first part of the question.
Okay. Okay. Can you expand on the question, because it's open-ended but it's vague?
No. Well, with what's going on with the denunciation of the strikes, what have you, not sending direct military support, et cetera, et cetera.
Really? Okay.
Well, what you would call it? But there is a tremendous amount of technological support with regard to the AI infrastructure that mostly from China that they're using to fight. Theo and I were talking about that on the last tech support, which they're using to actually fight the war. But
okay, so those hypersonic ship killers that China shipped maybe a month before this stuff went down are not military support. Or those cruise missiles that they have. Or the drone parts that they ship.
I'm talking about since the incursion, and like I said, having it be that's what I'm saying about diplomatic. This is the conversation that's been going on. Maybe it's back channel or whatnot, but
it is back channel. Okay,
which is my point.
I'll give you an example. In the first time this happened in June, okay, with the incursion, okay.
All right, but so you do understand the premise of the question.
Okay, I'm guessing at it. Okay. The thing is, your premise is wrong, because if the thing is just stuff like we do when we send stuff over, okay, all stuff we send over is not recorded in the public media or by contracts. Okay, when they ship stuff, it's not always known. Okay, like the first time when the first decapitation strike back in June, right? Didn't work. Okay, right after that, China sent 4 cargo plane loads of cruise missiles on the back channel to Iran. They've been stocking up missiles and missile parts to Iran for like 2 years, anticipating this very thing. So what do you mean? And so I'm assuming they're still doing it, just not talking about it.
Which speaks to the first part of the question, but okay. Because the question was about the diplomatic appearance on the global stage. Notwithstanding back channels. That was actually the premise of the question. But go ahead, Tito. That's all. I'm sorry. Have you landed your plane?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tito. Same line of questioning.
The fictional, well, I won't say fictional, but the fantastical Chinese hypersonic, right? Supposedly in 2019 they developed and deployed one. But if they were indeed shipping these weapons to Iran, then why haven't they used them? Since they are like in a fucking existential fight, why haven't they used them? The carriers are right there. near Iran, why not use them instead of using speedboats and AI Asian people on TikTok? Why not actually use the weapons then?
Well, is that a question?
I don't get it. Now, yeah, it's a question. Why not use them?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think. Oh, hold on. I think that's part of his rebuttal. Hold on. Wait, are you done? Are you?
No, I'm not done. And furthermore, you know, people talk an awful lot about hypersonics. A few years back, you know, Russia had a hypersonic that actually, you know, was propelled. It had nuclear propulsion that I guess blew across the sky, leaving a wake of you know, radioactive dust as a residue. I don't know how useful a weapon like that would be. But everybody talks about these hypersonics, but no, nobody has yet to use one, right? So experimental weapons are fine. Every armed force, every country has experimental weapons. But the question becomes, how good are the weapons you have now, right? And I think we got to see a preview of how good the weapons are that Iran has now when when they did the B2 strikes last year. Those were Russian and Chinese radars. Those were Russian and Chinese surface to air missile systems. They detected nothing and they struck nothing. So I don't know. I will have to wonder as to what the efficacy of these systems are. But in aside to that question about why haven't they used the hypersonic missile that they're supposed to have, is why in the hell they can't develop a modern air force? You know, since the weapons that China makes is so good, why don't they give them airplanes? I'll land my plane there.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go. You ready to
Okay.
rebuttal? It's all yours. No, it's all yours. Go ahead.
The fighters that they just hit are hypersonics. Okay. They just you saw them ripping through Tel Aviv not more than a couple of weeks ago. They just started ripping up Tel Aviv with hypersonics. They've been doing it, man. They demonstrated. The Houthis hit them with hypersonics. Okay. The Houthis themselves hit them with hypersonics. The reason they haven't hit a carrier with a hypersonic is because if they hit a carrier with a hypersonic, guess what Congress will do? Okay, they're going to escalate. If you really want a war, if you really wanted a real war, okay, you hit one of them carriers with a hypersonic and watch Congress go ape shit, and then you will get a nuclear war. Nobody wants to climb up that ladder. It's the only reason them ships haven't been there. Why do you think them carriers sit 1,000 miles away from Tehran? Because they know they got them. Okay, they've been demonstrated. Okay, Ukraine war, even the smaller hypersonics. Okay, the I forget what they call them. Okay, they were let loose against Ukraine as a demonstration. The Oreshnik, okay, which Putin demonstrated in Ukraine, okay, is a demonstration of the hypersonics. The reason they haven't done the big boys is because if you bring out the big boys and you get into that war, you're gonna get an escalation pattern, and you will see mushroom clouds. They're trying to prevent that. They're trying to get. Let's go back to the B2 thing, okay? Which, if you follow politics, especially global politics, you know exactly what happened. Okay, the decapitation from strike didn't work out. Israel thought they could actually take those hits from Ukraine. When Ukraine started blasting half of Tel Aviv, they begged off. Okay, so they went to Trump and they went to Qatar and said, "Can you get us an off ramp? Can you get us a ceasefire?" So the negotiating thing for the ceasefire was to save face. Okay, Iran allowing the B2s to come in and bomb, and then them hitting the base. I think the base was in Qatar or something like that. Okay, that was the off ramp. That was saving face. So those B2s were allowed to come in and bomb that site. Okay, that's how come he gave them a 2 weeks notice, so they could, whatever was in that site was moved. There was nothing in there by the time they got there. That's why if you're going to bomb a nuclear site and you don't want to move the material, you're not going to announce it 2 weeks ahead of time. So I don't know what kind of geopolitics you follow. I don't. I really don't. Everybody knew what it was when it happened. Anyway, I don't land my plane.
All right. Well, I just got a follow-up question, just to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
So you're under. So is it your assertion that Iran is currently winning the war?
I think they're fighting them to a standstill right now. I don't think they're winning the war per se, because it's only been what 2.5 weeks. You can't tell who's going to win the war.
But that's what I mean. I mean the military incursion up to this date. You're publicly stating you're of the opinion that Iran has the upper hand right now.
No, I say it's a standstill. Some people say it's have the upper hand, but the thing is, for me, because I'm not an insider like that, I don't know. Okay, because you can't get accurate information of what's happening on the ground. Israel will not tell.
So you're of the opinion that the death of the Ayatollah and the subsequent chain of command is inconsequential.
Just like if you hit the president of the United States, it could be inconsequential. Okay, because the chain of command would take over.
Okay.
And so far, I mean, let me ask you that: what has hit the Ayatollah changed as far as this war is concerned, in your opinion?
I'm going to let the debate.
No. You asked the question, okay? A direct question to me. I want a direct answer from you.
Well, you know where I stand. I think we're kicking their ass up at 6 ways to Sunday. And the word of the day, gentlemen, 2 words: our kill chain. And the words of the day, ladies and gentlemen, a kill chain. We let Mossad do what they got to do. We're going to murder our way all the way down to theocracy until there's nobody left. Let IDF do what they do. They've been itching to get in here and wipe these guys out for like the last 30 years. Put Mossad to work and work your way down the kill chain. It's street shit. Take out the capitals, take out the commission. And like I said, hopefully we can wrap most of this up before they got to report War Powers Act, report to Congress in X amount of days. All right, so let's roll the clock back.
You can't be at a stand. You can't be at a stalemate in a war if you have to have redundancy.
Okay.
Man.
Oh wait. You're
you can't.
Wait. This is your rebuttal.
Yeah,
correct?
That's pure fucking insanity. If America was in a war and so many fucking people have been killed that now the fucking Secretary of the Interior is getting sworn in, you can't say that that's a stalemate. You can't. This is further proof that this is not a normal country that you're dealing with. It's a country that's in the grip of a theocratic cult. This is further proof right here that beyond logic, beyond any concern for their citizens, that they will keep dragging this shit out, right? Because they want to fulfill the dream of an Islamic caliphate. And it's sad to see that right here inside of this very broadcast that we have people that seem to be actively cheering on that end. And I'll land my plane there.
Okay. Do you want to rebuttal that, BGS, or?
It's sad to see, okay, this inside this debate I have, that this people are so unknowledgeable. Let's put it that way.
There's no need for ad hominem. You were the one complaining about that. He didn't insult you.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Okay.
I responded.
Okay. Go ahead. It's yours. Let me reset the time. Okay.
Anything else?
Can I mute the guest mic? Okay. All right, guys, we're at the 1 hour mark.
You want to move on to the next issue?
You want to do the pan? Well, he's got to agree to it. He's got to agree.
As long as
he's got to agree to it.
As long as it doesn't get too contentious, I'm fine with it. Okay, I've been doing this Pan-African stuff for like 25 years, so I'm good with it.
Oh well, to you guys' credit, it's been very freaking civil. So you guys are doing good, by the way. It's been civil.
I'm doing this for you. You know this, man.
It's been civil. It's been civil. It's been good. It's been good. All right, but you got to agree to it. So we're going to pivot from Iran, and because we talked about this backstage, and you guys want to do Pan-Africanism.
I don't care.
Okay. Go ahead. Tito, you got. Let me reset the clock. Tito, you got 5 minutes. You can put the premise on the table.
Okay. There is a cultural and political concept that we call Pan-Africanism that, in my opinion, actually since I was very young, is a collective gaslight towards so-called Black people in America that has been engineered by globalists for us to carry the moral weight of many of the political aims of Black people outside of the country. And we do so at our own expense of time, money, sometimes being physically struck, arrested, what have you. And that for all of the years that Pan-Africanism has existed, it's only seemed to be a tale of a one-way, unrequited love by so-called Black Americans towards the rest of the darker parts of the human family. And so the question that I will put to BGS is, can he explain in any way possible how has Pan-Africanism been of any net benefit to so-called Black people here in America? I'll land my plane there.
Okay, excellent. I'm restarting the clock. BGS, that's all you. You're going to have to unmute your mic, sir.
First of all, okay, civil rights probably would not have worked as well as it did if it wasn't for the pressure of the African continent and the liberation movements going on there. Is because Europe eats off of Africa, and the United States gets stuff from Africa. They needed to actually keep it calm, so it does benefit us. Okay, just like Europe benefits white people. Okay, their coalition benefits each other. Okay, there's only 40 million of us now. Okay, we're far too small. It's like asking Chinese people, do they benefit from pan-Chinese relationships? Now, this relationship has been sabotaged is because Europe especially does not want African Americans to go over there and start helping to actually develop the continent. Okay, so there's been blocks. Okay, especially with the AGOA Act, because I've been over there a couple times. Right, there's a whole bunch of blocks that Europe and America puts in between African Americans and Africans. Okay, to actually develop naturally. But I do believe that a lot of Pan-Africans, because I know a bunch of them, had this fantastical idea about what Africa actually is instead of the realism about what it is. Okay, now a lot of guys had this dream about Africa and they actually went over there. Okay, it's different. Is there opportunities? Yes. Okay, is there a way to actually build something over there? Yes. There's a way to actually go over there and be free and free yourself as a Black person that you can't get here? Yes. Okay, there's a bunch of that. There's opportunity. So that's how Pan-Africanism actually does benefit Black people. Okay, the nature that you got almost 2 billion Africans on the planet benefits you, because if you're like 40 million people all by your little lonesome self with no power, you be up the creek. Okay, so it does benefit you. I'll land my plane.
All right, excellent. You had 3 minutes on the clock as well. Tito, I'm going to let you rebuttal that, but then I'm going to, because I forgot to address Andre's question in the chat. We're going to circle back to the Iran after this, and we'll get right back to this, because I want to make sure I answer Andre's question. He paid $5 for it. You can let me restart the clock, and you can rebuttal BGS's response. Go ahead, all yours.
The standard Pan-Africanist answer, that's exactly what I expected. There are many people, you know what? No, I won't say many people. That's the first time I've heard somebody try to make Pan-Africanism or the struggles for self-determination in other countries, like kind of an interlacing affair with civil rights here in America for so-called black people. The issues that they were facing in other countries were more so due from colonialization and the tribalism and the misuse of natural resources by leaders that were connected with people in Europe, whereas our main grievance was the 14th Amendment, and a lot of times the 15th Amendment not being followed through on as promised in 1868. But I don't understand why my colleague would possibly say that Europe didn't want black Americans coming there to help, when actually it's a lot of African leaders themselves that don't want black Americans over there. For instance, the guy who runs Ivory Coast now, Toure, when the Russians gave him money to improve their infrastructure over there and they needed engineers, he actually made a press release that said that he wanted engineers except for so-called black Americans. So I don't know why my colleague and many other people hold on to this anachronistic and outmoded way of thinking, right? The plain facts is that starting in 1953, they began bringing these Africans over here to replace us. And a lot of people still haven't woke up to that fact. They began bringing these Africans here to replace us. And I've always mentioned the legacy Democrats that have been entrenched in Washington as an administrative class ever since the Roosevelt and the Truman administrations. And they sold it to Ike's administration as a way to extend Western influence in West Africa. And they bought it, and then they started bringing these people here. And ever since then, they've been showing these people favoritism. Even Muhammad Ali remarked that in his early career, when segregation was still a thing in many parts of this country, that he wasn't allowed to go in certain hotels and restaurants, but he would see them gesture and let Africans in, saying, no, that's not a nigga, that's an African, right? So if these African people were so politically so in unison and in terms of morality and everything with so-called black people, then they wouldn't accept privileges like that. But we all know that they do. Even to this very day, you can find the Caribbean Services Organization right there in the middle of Harlem, and they can go there and get free health care. They can go there and get free legal aid. They can go there and get cars and everything, things that aren't ever extended to so-called black people. And I've said many times before that they showed y'all the Cosby Show in the 80s, but they was actually really handing that to African people. So we can't say that there's any such thing as Pan-Africanism if black people from all around the world are willing to come here and accept such massive handouts at the deprivation of so-called black people from the country, and then tell us, gaslighting us, of course, how they just work hard and save money. And I'll use the Somalians as an example, and I'll land my plane there.
Well played. Would you like to rebuttal your colleague, BGS?
It's unlike certain people. I've been over there a couple times. Okay, I'm embedded with the Pan-African community. I'm embedded with these people. Okay, they asked for us. Okay, which Colin Powell asked to send black soldiers for AFRICOM to the Sahel. Okay, Europe and white people denied that request. Okay, they asked for us. They didn't. I remember telling them back in 2007, 2008. Okay, they didn't want the Chinese to come in and develop. They said, "How come y'all can't come in and do it? We don't want them. We don't trust them." Or how about the rest? We don't trust them either. We want black people that look like us to have to come in and help us. They asked for us. I know that because they told me to my face. And we're not talking about little cab drivers on the street. We talk about officials that are running for freaking president. They asked for us. So I don't know what your Pan-African deets are. Okay. I don't know what your experience is, but I've been 30 years in the game. And I've had people like Dr. Marifa, who is Kenyan, who is a globalist, okay, who is a global elite, okay. I asked Dr. Marifa, if I'm lying, please tell me why I'm wrong, right? He agrees with that. because he deals with this stuff all the time. And a lot of stuff that you hear me say and him say has been echoed through their voices. Okay. I don't know what you're reading. Anyway, I'll land my plane.
Well played, sir. Tito, would you like to rebut?
Yeah, it's called reality. All over Al Gore's internet, you can see people in Kenya saying they don't want passport bros to come to their country. You can see many media platforms that's ran by, these tethers that are very critical of so-called black men. You can see many crimes perpetrated, like the lady that worked at McDonald's stabbing her supervisor to death with that lived with the white boy with the hard wig. Like the woman that was working at the nursing home that was twerking on top of a patient's head. You can see the crimes that they commit against so-called black people. I just don't understand why people still think that Pan-Africanism exists when there's much evidence to the contrary. And another thing, you can see how these women, particularly dark-skinned Afro Hispanic women and African women, how angry they are once they get here and they realize that the dating market doesn't work out in their favor, especially because they can't get a white man. So the first thing that they do is they vent their frustrations by talking shit about black men, right? Some of the people that us as manosphere content creators have to refute a lot of their claims, like Chrissy, like Share 7, are groups of these black people that are from outside of foundational black Americans that we have to come online every day and combat their propaganda. So when you take appraisal of all of that, I don't see how in the hell that anybody can entertain any notions that such a thing as Pan-Africanism still exists in 2026. I just don't. And I'll land my plane there.
Okay. Hold on for a second. BGS, would you like to?
I don't know.
Would you like to respond?
Where does dating get into all of this? Okay. The thing is, I know it's because we're involved in it. Okay. The Chinese did not want to develop you. Okay. The only reason the Chinese has to develop you is because they allowed Gaddafi to get whacked. Okay. And for them to actually continue a Belt and Road for it to actually work, they needed Africa. That's how we got the East African corridor. Okay, because we told them, I said, if you don't start putting money and infrastructure into the continent, they're not going to trust you, and I don't blame them. That's how we got built. Chinese had no choice. They didn't want to give Africans an on-ramp to develop, to be the next global power. They didn't want to do that. They had no choice. Okay, but it took black people from America to actually help convince the Chinese to actually do this shit in their own best interest. It actually turned out to be a winner for them, but they didn't want to do it. Okay, I know I've been deeply embedded in this stuff for the last 30 years. The thing is, if you got the details and you got the documents and you got the people, man, pull them up. Other than that, all I'm getting is opinions. I'll land my plane there.
Thank you, sir. Tito, would you like to offer a rebuttal?
Yeah, it's a lot of opinions out there. It's an opinion that you in a kata. It's an opinion that you have no culture by multiple content creators that are from those countries some of those same countries that you're trying to defend. I don't know why. There's an opinion that you're a dirty black American. There's plenty of opinions out there. And all of the opinions out there say that compared to all of those people from those countries, that you're less than human, you're not civilized, you don't have a culture, or they want to know where your family is from. Yeah, you're right. There's plenty of goddamn opinions out there, but I don't know how you still don't see the writing on the wall. You sitting here right now carrying water for people that don't give a fuck about you and wouldn't piss on you to put you out if you was on fire. And I don't understand it. The government brought these people here to replace you. And it seems like that you are so caught up in leftist orthodoxy that you can't recognize it. Now, land my plane there.
Okay, BGS, would you like to offer a rebuttal?
The thing is, you comparing a million immigrants to a billion people, okay, on the continent, okay, and the people that actually matter actually run the freaking governments, okay. That's what you're comparing it to. We talk to the people that matter, the people that actually determines what goes on the ground. That's who the people we talk to. We don't talk to the. I'll give two craps about some chick that has a white man fantasy coming over here with mad because she can't get a white man. Okay, that's been around since what 1700 about black women feeding for white peen. Okay, that's not unusual, but has nothing to do with politics. Has nothing to do with infrastructure. Has nothing to do with people making decisions that matter. I remember it was Zimbabwe, okay? After they kicked the white people out. Okay, they were trying to get black young farmers to come over there and take over the land because they needed farmers, okay? They wanted young black African Americans to actually come over and kick all them white people out, kick all the Chinese out, kick all the Indians out. They wanted black people to actually come over and develop black people. That was Zimbabwe in 2007. Okay, that offered. And black people, and my God, pro-black, so-called Pan-Africans, okay, well, I don't want to go over there, man, because this is my home. Fine, stay here. I hear that all the time. Stay here. If you actually want to go over there and actually build something, which they will allow you to do, okay, and they have allowed you to do, because a whole bunch of people over there making a whole bunch of money, but they don't talk. And it's been that way. They've been asking for African American people with skills to come over and do something. Not the squatters come over there and mess with their women and eat their food and drink. Okay, they want people to actually come over there with a mindset to come over, work, and develop. That's what they want. Okay, that's what Colin Powell wanted. Okay, why you think he convinced Bush, who's a Republican, to sign the AGOA Act, the AGOA Trade Freed Act for Africa? Obama didn't do that. That was Colin Powell, and that was Bush, because Colin Powell believed in it. Colin Powell was a Pan-African, believe it or not. Anyhow, I'll land my plane.
Okay, well played. Wow, good point. Tito, would you like to rebuttal?
I'm curious as to why would we have to come over there. I've never heard of historically, I've never heard of a call by any, especially if you're talking about Zimbabwe. I've never heard of a call for African American farmers to go anywhere. I've never heard of that. I mean, if it's a link or something you could point us to, I'll be more than happy to look at it. But I've never heard of that. But why should we have to go over there and develop that infrastructure when they come over here in droves and claiming to be smarter than us? Why don't they stay and develop their own country? Why are they so quick to run over here to get that diploma and that suburban house and that white woman if they care so much about Africa? I don't get it. But hey, I mean, you still want to, with this Pan-African thing, they brought them here to replace you. And I give you statistical evidence. As late as 1991, non-American blacks made up 5% of our workforce. Now, as late as 2024, now is 23% of non-native blacks in our workforce. And I did a video about this a few weeks back, where they're starting to realize that in some sectors that these Africans are actually out earning white people. For instance, African women out earn white women. So like I said, they might have showed so-called black people, the Cosby Show on TV, but they actually gave that to the Africans, right? So they are numerically and statistically replacing you, right? And so you still want to, you know, say that it's Pan-Africanism, but these, you know, these white collar, high earning professionals, they don't want to go back and develop anything in their own country. At the most, you might see a Jamaican sending a blue drum to somebody full of mics, iPads and iPhones and polo shirts, but that's about it. And when I say polo, I mean Ralph Lauren polo shirts, and that's about it. That's the only thing that I see them doing. Or they might go to and hit their people with some money, hit their hand on Western Union. But they definitely not trying to go back to them countries and develop a goddamn thing. They, like I say, they get over here to these white collar houses, these suburban homes, these nice cars, and these white women, and they good. And I land my plane there.
Okay. BGS, would you like to offer a rebuttal?
Most Africans marry other African people. Okay, like 90%. Okay. Number two, the only the top maybe 1% of Africans actually get here. So these people are already elite where they come from. Then they're not the poor kid from the village that doesn't wearing sandals. They actually get here. Because if you ever been there, so an African country, and go look at the visa line to actually get here. Okay, it's like thousands of people long. Okay, the only way you get here is with a sponsor and with a lot of money. They don't get here for free. Okay. Number two, black people here had to fight for them to actually get here, just like the Haitians. Okay. You think they didn't allow the Haitians in without some pushback from African American people? You allow all these Latinos and white folks from Europe over here with no consequence, but you can't let black people in. And the last I heard, it was on at max. The max percentage of Africans to here, black Africans here, as far as the black population, was less than 10%, more like 5%. Most of the black people here come from the Caribbean or from Latin America. They don't come from Africa. It's very difficult to actually get here from the continent, and only most of the people that get here are actually elite. And when so-called tethers talking crap, okay, you said, okay, we're gonna get on the plane and go to your country and go to the village, and then tell me who's better. And they shut up, okay, because you're elite, okay. So if you compare elite black people to elite Africans, it's the exact same thing. In fact, we're better. Okay, so the elite black wife, a black African woman here, she's gonna be better than a white woman. She got more education. Okay, she got more money. Okay, where she came from, she comes from 3 generations of professors and professionals. So she's gonna be better than the average white woman. So she's gonna make more money. She's supposed to. The thing is, we're not comparing apples to apples. Okay, you're comparing peanuts to grapefruits. Okay, difference in size and difference in scale. Okay, if you threw all the Nigerians over here, all 200 million over here, and compare them to black people will be at the top be in the top 5%. So when you go over there with your blue passport and your education, guess what? You're in the top 3% over there. So I don't know where you get your stuff from. Okay, my thing is, why don't you go over there and look for yourself instead of guessing? I'll land my plane there.
Thank you, sir. Would you like to rebut, Tito?
I'm sorry, BGS, but it's not enough air freshener and cologne in the world that I could pack to ever desire to go anywhere in Africa. I'm sorry. You mentioned the fact that they only bring elite people from over there. Well, tell me something I didn't know. I know that they vet them and that they are well-trained house niggas, you know, from the same families that have, or tribes that have historically aided Europeans over there and European interests. I know that. I'm not surprised to hear that. As far as so-called black people fighting for them to get over here, I'll give you that one. But then also you got to consider the source. We've had tethers among us in politics for a long time now. People like Clayton Powell, Shirley Chisholm, these people were tethers. And so they were thinking about the interests of people in their own countries, right? you know, once again, your leftist orthodoxy is showing, because you say things. You just said, well, if it's perfectly fine for people from European countries to come over here, then why don't we have a quota for black countries? The reason we don't need a quota for black countries is because it harms the self-interest of so-called black people. My grandfather told me a long time ago, when he heard a Jamaican man talking, and then we went somewhere else and saw an African. He said, you know what, is I don't see any benefit to having more than one set of niggas in this country. And he was right, because these people pursue divergence interests from black Americans. And these people actually have been favored and allowed to prosper at the drastic expense of black Americans. And once again, I'll point you to the fact that we have organizations like the Caribbean Services thing that's in Harlem, where they can go and get free health care, free legal aid, free this, free that, free that. But then you have so-called black children in Baltimore that are wearing winter coats inside of their classrooms in January after they come off Christmas vacation, right? So I just don't understand why, in the sight of all of this evidence, right? You keep saying, I don't know what he's reading. Look around. You can see organizations like that in damn near every city. Of course, we don't have one here in Chicago because it's not enough of them here. And plus, niggas in Chicago will never tolerate that shit. But we don't have enough of them here, right? But in a lot of East Coast cities, you do have things like that, and a lot of times they're like right in the midst of predominantly black neighborhoods. So it's like they rubbing it in your damn face, right? They rubbing it in your face. So this is an agenda that has been pursued for a very long time. This was actually rolled into the voting rights legislation, this immigration quota. And of course, the white Democrats supported it, because the white Democrats were the ones that had started bringing they black asses over here in the first place back in the 50s during the Eisenhower administration. So of course they supported it too. So I'll land my plane there.
Well played, sir. Would you like to rebut?
Every other freaking group does the same thing, and black people are the only one that don't want to play the game. Okay, every other group does it. I do mean every other one. Every single one. They ain't see no Chinese that said we only need one set of Chinese people here. Okay, white people don't even say that. We only need one set of white people here. You don't want those people from Eastern Europe. Okay, you don't want them hoes from the Ukraine. Okay, black people, the only people that actually say that, dude. Oh, they're coming here to replace us. Oh, we don't need no more Negroes. Okay, but your population pool shrinks, gets smaller and smaller and smaller. They don't bring in fresh talent. White people bring in fresh talent from all over the world that are white all the time. Okay, we're the only ones that don't want to do it. So I'm confused. I'm confused about this so-called isolationist things that people think about, that people want to do. We had a whole continent. Okay, how come black people don't want to go there? Okay, look at what's his name over there, man? With a floor to ceiling windows, man, overlooking the city in Nairobi. They can't pay me. You can't pay me enough to go over there. Well, you know what? Stay over here, stay under some of the white people, because you're not gonna do it here. And keep complaining instead of going over there someplace that will allow you to actually build and prosper if you want to put in the work. That's why I'm a Pan-Africanist. It's because it's necessary. It's necessary, and the whole world is seeing that it's necessary. Because as sooner or later they won't need you. Okay, sooner or later, as soon as they get infrastructure and they get education and they get a fair market money for their goods and services and their resources, okay, they're not going to need you very much anymore. They're asking for you now. In other words, this is the ground floor to actually invest and go over there and make something. You got people over there on the ground floor making stuff and doing stuff. You don't have enough. But if you want to remain a subjugated people and a minority people on this planet, go ahead, man. You know, have at it. I'm tired of trying to convince Negroes to actually think bigger and do better. You know, if I tell black folks here, do you? You know, I'll land my plane there.
Well played, sir. Do you have a rebuttal, Tito?
Minority people, most people in the world are black. I don't know what he means by minority. Most people in the world are black people. You know, when you add the populations of North America, South America, the Caribbean, Africa, Fiji, Vanuatu, most people, Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, the Sandwich Islands, Reunion Island, most people in the world are black. So we're not a minority anywhere. Now, as far as to his point about, you know, this white solidarity and this white collegialness and all of that, that's a very, very recent innovation, right? Now, I know that you know, Chicago is a highly segregated city, and for anybody that thinks that like all white people like each other, it would take for you to have lived in Chicago to know that that's not true. When the Irish started coming here, they didn't want them here. A lot of Eastern Europeans started coming here, they didn't want them here, right? A lot of times, up until like the 70s, even, right? White Anglo-Saxon Protestant white people wouldn't even want their children marrying somebody that's Greek. They wouldn't want their children marrying somebody that's a Russian or a Ukrainian, or especially, heaven forbid, Polish. So this is, you know, but the difference, the nuanced difference is that when white people come here from ethnic minorities to America, they are usually able to assimilate better into, you know, this amalgamated concept of whiteness. But when these people from other countries that are black come over here, they not trying to hear none of that shit. And again, before he asked me what I'm reading, just look around. I've never seen a second generation Polish person riding around with a goddamn Polish flag hanging around their rear view mirror. But I've seen plenty of second and third generation Jamaicans and Trinidadians doing it, right? The white people that he's talking about, they pretty much, they understand that they the vast minority, and they understand that it's privileges to whiteness. And so they come in here and, like I say, successfully amalgamate themselves into the concept of whiteness. But the black people that come here, they not trying to hear that shit, and they think you beneath them. And so it's crazy that when I point out how they think you beneath them, oh, well, now I'm whining. But you got to decide which. So is there a such thing as Pan-Africanism, or is there aren't, or is it not? Because then when I point out what other populations of black people come here and do, well, then you say, oh, well, that's what they supposed to do. But wait a minute, what happened to Pan-Africanism, right? So, you know, I'll land my plane there. Looks like we got a super chat.
Yeah.
Go read your super chats.
All right, thank you, sir. Hold on for a second, gentlemen. By the way, let me take a break too and just say we're at the 1 hour 34-minute mark, and round of applause to both of you guys. I know we got long-standing feuds. Anybody that's been around, they know. But both of you gentlemen are extremely well. This has been a very civil debate, and I'm listening in third person, so you can't hear it. This is really, it's a really good back and forth conversation, and I think this is good. Good for the public record and the public good to hear two gentlemen of their own opinions and such, who are both good thinkers in their own right, going back and forth. It's very well done, gentlemen. Lightbringer 777 says the Black Manosphere was founded during the Walter Scott case, when Tito roasted all of the white MGTOWs for using us and being indifferent at the same time. Tito then told us to form our own space, which birthed the Black Manosphere. If you guys have been keeping track of the long withstanding um back and forth and history go out. It made us even bring back the 1.0 legacy streams. Uh there is a great amount of truth to that. Shout out to you. We usually go crazy with the drops over here, but we got the long we got this debate, and I got to keep the momentum going. So I'll just give you a little
Shit. Got your ass.
yeah, I got to keep the momentum going. Keep it 100. Where the hell you been, Playboy? Outspoken introvert. What up? What up? What up? What up? Yeah, where you been, man? You been winning the hiding this shit. Gentlemen, we're at the all right. Let's do this. We're at the one. This is going good. You guys can go rebut back and forth as long as you like. We're at the 136 mark. I do since Andre did pay for it before we close, and I think BGS, you want to get out of here under the 2-hour mark. I do want you guys to, at the end of your salvo, to address his $5 super chat with regard to Nick Fuentes, Tucker, Candace, and the Hodge twins. I have an answer to that as well.
I mean, I'll do it right now. Basically, nobody. That's like the MAGA base is highly pissed off about this particular war. Okay, and it just shows you about the MAGA base. Nobody wanted this. Okay, I was telling Dr. Marifa like a month before it happened. I said I don't think he's that dumb enough to actually do this and actually pull that pin on that grenade, and he did it anyway. So Fuentes and Tucker and Candace and the Hodge twins are pissed because this did not need to happen. You're actually supposed to clean all this crap up and get the dollar and the economics back on scale. You just accelerated the clock. That's all you really did. So, in my opinion, that's how come they're pissed.
Fair enough. Tito, you want to answer that as well?
Yeah. When it comes to a lot of these people, I never trusted any of these motherfuckers. Now, of course, I'm not a Republican because our first president warned us against the spirit of the party when he left office. But I'm a conservative leaning independent, and I never trusted any of these motherfuckers. None of them. First of all, when you look at Tucker Carlson, when you look at the Hodge twins, they have a background in entertainment. The Hodge twins used to tour as comedians. So how would you trust them knowing where circles they used to run in, knowing that they were around a bunch of Luciferians and leftists? How would you trust them? And then with Nick Fuentes, comes from a super blue area, super immigrant heavy area, pretends to be white. How would you trust him either? And then with Candace, she just basically fell off into conservatism after she married a white man and just thought I guess she thought that's what she had to do. I remember when she used to be a YouTuber that went by the name of Red Pill Black. And even then, I suspected that, like a lot of people at Fox News, they just they not a conservative, but they stayed at Holiday Inn last night type of deal where they just faking the funk. So a lot of these people were just grifters anyway. They were never real conservatives. A lot of people think that conservatism means I guess attaching yourself to a certain political polarity as far as party goes. They think that conservatism means having these jingoistic cop worshiping political positions, but it doesn't. It just means believing in a small government and limited role and scope of the government in your daily life. And it means first and foremost being a constitutional fundamentalist. And I didn't see any of these individuals as that. I never trusted any of these motherfuckers, especially when you think about somebody like Nick Fuentes with all of the racism. How does he claim to vote for a party whose founding and first position was that, hey, black people are human beings too, and they shouldn't be slaves? So just by that alone, Nick Fuentes was never real conservative. None of these people were. None of them were. I'll land my plane there.
Once again, fair enough. All right. There you go, Andre. Wait, unless you want to rebuttal his response, BGS. My bad.
Nick Fuentes actually, if you actually want to know what a conservative actually is, the old-fashioned one, Nick Fuentes actually is. He's actually Nick Fuentes is about an inch from becoming a fascist. Okay, he believes in a monarchy, which goes way back before liberalism. Okay, if you listen to him. Okay, so Nick Fuentes is way over there on the right by himself. And he actually goes against the so-called conservatives. He says they're too liberal for him. And according to where his stance is, they are. This is why nobody likes Nick Fuentes on the right. I'll land my plane.
All right, excellent. Tito, you want to rebuttal to that?
Yeah, thanks for proving my point with more leftist orthodoxy. We don't. I know that a lot of people love to nurture the media created and educational system created left right paradigm in the media, but we don't have a true right here. While Mr. Fuentes might be advocating for a monarchy, nobody else is. And in most developed countries, the only people that I can think of besides Mr. Fuentes is advocating for a monarchy are the pro-monarchists in Japan. Now that's a real right wing. So, racism is not a part of conservatism. And if most people will identify conservatives as Republicans, again, this is a party who one of the founding positions was anti-slavery, and that, hey, black people are humans too. And they've always stuck to that. For anybody, and don't try to come me in here with no party switch myth or none of that shit. It was them, the Republicans, that voted for the Civil Rights Act, that voted for the Voting Rights Act. The all of the Dixiecrats were against it. You had a few Northern Democrats that voted for it, and that was like kind of the tiebreaker. But the Democrats have always, the basis of their power is finding out how to leverage power on the shoulders of black people. And since they don't have, slavery anymore, since they don't have outright segregation anymore, they use the racial enmity that we have in this country and the communism that leads to, because ever since 1927, after W.E.B. Du Bois visited Russia, black people have been socialized as communists, right? And that was a effort by the Soviet Union to destabilize our country. And the only thing that the Democratic Party did in the early 70s was accept the communists into their ranks as a way to leverage power on the backs of black people. But being a racist is not a part of being conservative. That's something that's created by the leftist media. If you look at somebody that's supposed to be a true constitutional fundamentalist, then you would know that being racist is totally divorced from that. You would know that. I'll land my plane there.
Fair enough. Would you like to offer a rebuttal, BGS?
You know what they call it amongst the Washington elite, the Washington circles? You know what they call the hardcore conservatives? Trotskyites. They used to be communists. Trotskyite communists. Your especially your hardcore neoconservatives, guess where they mostly come from? From Eastern Europe and Russia. Okay, they're former communists. So basically, the whole conservative movement in the 1960s were actually funded and actually engineered by Trotskyites, former communists. Go read their literature. Okay, so communism, socialism, all that stuff are labels. Okay, so the people that you think are not communists or didn't come from a communist root, guess what? They actually did. Okay, and to tell you what, the people that actually started civil rights were not Democrats. Okay, that's the Republicans. It's called Eisenhower. He's the one that actually pushed for and started civil rights in 1952 when he came in and said, if you guys are not for integrating these people into society and giving them the rights they're supposed to have, you can resign right now. Okay, so all the bus strikes, all the sit-ins, and all that other kind of crap was actually underneath Eisenhower because he actually favored it and actually pushed for it. Okay, the Democrats picked it up later. So these labels by Republican, Democrat, what have you, basically that's like I don't even go by them anymore. It's because they're virtually meaningless, except for rhetoric. That's why I'm agnostic. Two wings of the same bird. Okay, that's like we haven't seen AOC talked about Gaza. I haven't heard AOC talked about the Ukraine. Okay, she was bought out and she's supposed to be a lefty. She ain't no freaking lefty. Bernie Sanders, the same thing. Supposed to be a socialist, a card-carrying socialist, okay? Ain't heard him say a word. Why is that? Two wings of the same bird. Anyhow, I'll land it.
Okay, I was going to say, you got 2.5 minutes left. Would you like to rebuttal, Tito?
So, white bread motherfuckers like Orrin Hatch and Chuck Grassley and Lindsey Graham, you want us to believe that these people are Trotskyites, okay? But civil rights started in the Grant administration with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. Those were the original civil rights. Eisenhower, when he came in, he wanted to desegregate the school. Well, he desegregated the schools because he knew that the results that it had in the armed forces while he was in Europe, right? But again, civil rights was always something that was taken up by Republicans, but the media has allowed the Democrats, because most of them are leftists and Democrats, allowed them to take up the mantle of what we should know as civil rights in this country, right? But yeah, I will still stand by my assertion that the only thing the Democrats did is accept in elements of the Communist Party so they can use, leverage racial enmity in this country for power, and they still, I guess, successfully do it every day. And I'll land my plane there.
Okay, well played, sir, as well. All right, just a time check, gentlemen. Hold on, let me bang, bang, bang. All right, you have 3 minutes left on the clock. It is we're at the 1 hour 48-minute mark. BGS, I know I got to get you up out of here in under 2, and that
if you got other stuff you want to talk about, we can talk about that for the last 15. You got to remember, Hillary Clinton was a Goldwater girl.
Facts, yeah, she was a Goldwater girl. You're right. But no, I want to
and a neocon.
And a neocon, that is correct. She's changed since then, but nonetheless.
Guess who else was?
No, we can't. No, we can't make this a 2v1. That's why I was trying to bail out early, because it can't appear to be a 2v1.
Okay.
We're at the 1 hour 48. I got to do a time check, and you two both have to agree to it. Do you guys can you and do you want to go over 2 hours?
No, I don't.
Okay, so we're at 148. So we got.
You got anything else you want to bring up in closing, or what?
No, that's what I was about to say. So we got to wrap in 7 minutes. That being said, that Andre, that was the that last exchange was the outgrowth of them answering. The logical conclusion of them answering your question. That being said, let's do closing statements. Since you agreed to the to the debate, BGS, we'll start with you. Have at it, sir.
Okay. Okay. Number one, I want to say thank you for inviting me to. I did this for you because it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you. And I happen to like you and respect you. That's why I come here. Other than that, I wouldn't be here. But
thank you kindly, sir.
So even though we disagree, okay.
Yes.
We have disagreed on a lot of stuff. We do probably like 90% we actually agree on. Okay.
Yeah.
Even though we disagree, okay, I respect you. Okay. You handle yourself well. It's respectful disagreement, which I don't mind. Okay. Okay. Like I said, I've been doing this for so long. I'm so tired. I didn't actually come into this manosphere to talk about politics, because I'd been talking politics for like 20 something years. I actually came here to get away from that. Okay. So when I talk about stuff and I start laying stuff out, and that's when I talk to people at the UN, there's because I asked somebody, because I have a lot of what I call spooks, military spooks that are subs. I always ask them, when they actually tell me what they have done, or what they around, or what they have done. I said, why do you guys come here? So why do you guys come to me, out of all people? Because I don't actually advertise. I said, why are you guys actually drawn to me? It's because you actually talk the truth. Okay, truth that nobody wants to talk about, and I admit it. Okay, and so that's how come they come to me. So the thing is, man, I've been doing this so long. I remember I was given a lift. This is 2005. He was the nephew of the president of Congo, and we're actually talking about Congo and Pan Africanism and what we wanted out of it, and the money that was going into blah blah blah. Man, I've been doing this for so long. And I've talked to so many people. And I talk to so many people that are in positions of influence. It's ridiculous. So when we talk about Pan African and politics and stuff like that, I'm connected with people, and I talk to people who are actually inside and actually warn me well ahead of that this is getting ready to go down. Okay, and I talked to people inside the military that told me that months ago that what Trump is doing right now is a bad idea. Okay, that's like we have military people right now quitting on Donald Trump as we speak, because it's a bad idea, and bad ideas. Same thing, same way. I had to take down certain segments of the Ukraine thing because I know exactly what Biden was trying to do. It was a bad idea then, and Trump is still trying to dig out of that hole. Okay, but now what he's getting ready to do is dig himself a deeper hole. Okay. And hopefully, by some miracle, I hope we can dig our way out of this crap, okay? Because it doesn't look like it. And I hope that it doesn't escalate into something even worse, which it very well could. Anyhow, that's all I got for you guys.
All right. Well, fair enough. Before I pass it to Tito for closing statement, I do want to thank you for coming over, agreeing to terms prior to, and to both of you gentlemen. To being as civil as at all possible. I don't even think I tracked any out of hand ad hominem. Even the level of condescension and snarkiness was like below it too. Very well played for both of you gentlemen. And I listened in third person. The chat seems to agree. I've got an overwhelming amount of cloud watchers because they're not in my chat, but nonetheless, when on the playback, you guys sound great. I mean, the back and forth being what it was. Their points will argue.
You muted yourself.
Oh, fucking balls! Did I? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, points will argue well on both sides. I tried to stay out of it, and we'll let the public decide. But I will say again, this is just a good public service for the public record. To have some of this aired out and it's good because people know long withstanding feud and such that these arguments are solid or have conviction on both sides. Let's put it that way. Tito, closing statement. It is all yours, sir.
Well, gentlemen, as you see demonstrated here before you, the slimy tentacles of the elites and their dark money are even able to reach to this copper colored corner of the internet, in which you will hear leftist orthodoxy, you will hear worn out ideologies that don't benefit so-called black people, be they a cultural movement or a political movement that don't serve your best interests, right? As you can see demonstrated here, that they even reach to our corner of the internet with Wizard of Oz, Smoke and Mirrors content creators, and them bringing people here to co-opt what we started and take credit for accomplishments that they didn't make. And it is what it is. I'll land my plane there.
Okay. This is virtual, so I can't say for both of you gentlemen to shake hands. But once again, I do want to thank both of you for agreeing to this and for being once again putting on a very civil. I was saying backstage, William F. Buckley in spirit debate. This is I'm actually. That's what I grew up on, these type of spirited debates. Like I said, I'd like to thank both of you, gentlemen, for comporting yourself so well. And like I said, on the replay, when you listen back to it, it comes across very well, points being argued on both sides. And like I said, I tried to stay out of it except for that one time because it cannot appear to be a 2v1. That being said, I'd like to thank everyone who also came through, who participated. Hopefully we can do something like this again, a well-moderated debate, no chair throwing, moderated time, and we can get to the bottom of some things. Gentlemen, black men in general, shout out to Dr. Tito Johnson. If you guys haven't done it, check out the policy plan for black men made by black men. And on that note, like we always do around here, I want to say good night and good luck.
Press for greatness, every step intentional. Dress for my future cause my goals non-negotiable. Mind sharp daily and my habits unconditional. Study hard, live clean, results get exponential. Press shirt crisp like a contract sign. Routine on lock, discipline outline. Early morning studying, keeping me aligned. Daily improvements engineered in my mind. While others chase trends just to look profound, I chase structure that builds life from the ground. Building my skills so the future stays sound. Success is a language, I'm fluent in the sound.
Checking my phones, tools in my stance. 2 skill sets ready for any advance. I build opportunity now, waiting for chance. Moving with purpose in every expense. Land on my checklist, assets on deck. Business foundation with long-term effect. Clean outfit on, that's natural respect. Dress like a man that the future will select.
Travel where the energy nurtures my growth. Living where I'm welcomed and respected by both. Fit so neat, it's a personal oath. To honor my dream with each button and cloth. Never look tough just to feel approved. I stayed myself, never once removed. Different by choice and proudly improve. I walk pressed for greatness, completely a move.
I analyzed videos of over 100 instances of Superman.
Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it? Where's the hammer? Is it on the... Go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering. Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it? Where's the hammer?
Shit, here we go again.
To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death.
Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it? Where's the hammer? Is it on the... Go up on